This week on Cougar Creations, we sat down and got to know our mayor, Guy Titus, and also showed a throwback to our interview with Mayor Titus last year. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to Cougar Creations. I'm Dakota.
And I'm Haley. Dakota, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Haley?
Pretty good. I'm excited to get to know our mayor a little bit more today.
Me too. This episode, I sat down with Mayor of Greenfield, Guy Titus, to talk about plans for the city of Greenfield this year.
Then we will share our throwback from last year of our interview with Guy Titus.
But first, here is my conversation with Guy Titus. We are outside City Hall on this beautiful sunny day, getting ready to talk to Mayor Guy Titus. Let's go. This is Cougar Creations. I'm Dakota, here with Mayor of Greenfield, Guy Titus. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Dakota. Thank you for coming out to see me today.
Great to hear. I'm very excited to talk about our community with you today.
Great. I'm glad to have you.
So getting into it, we are through the first third of the year 2025, and many new developments and new projects are underway for Greenfield. With these in mind, what are your goals for 2025?
I have many goals. Finding out that government moves very slowly. When I first was elected, I thought I'd get all this stuff done right away the first year. It doesn't work like that, but we're continually working on. I don't know if you've all noticed we call it the Rat Trail. It really stands for Riley Art Trail, but we kid ourselves and call it about the Rat Trail. But it's about completed. It's going to be neat. It's going to have some different features around it. You know, it's going to tie into the Depot Park and all that stuff. That's going on. We're currently working on a mixed-use project, possibly, and a parking garage for over here in the middle of town and near the Depot Park. So we've got, those are two big projects we got going. We have a lot of little projects going on too, water, sewer, things like that aren't all fun to hear about, I'm sure, you know. But
So Greenfield has expanded a lot since in the past few years with a ton of new businesses and housing. What are some of the new developments that are planned for 2025 into 2026?
Well, we currently have, right now they're building another, right up there where the new Starbucks just went in, by the interstate. There's a new Leo's gas station going to go in there. And then just west of there, someone has recently bought some of that property on Opportunity Parkway. And there's going to be a hotel chain go in there, which I don't know if they'll break ground yet this year or not. We have a new, not manufacturing, it's a distribution warehouse, and I can't think of the name of it offhand. When they came to town, we called it Project Husky. But they sell sporting goods things and items like that, and they are just now getting started. We've got some new businesses, smaller businesses going in here and there, but so those are some of the current things we have going on.
Being in office since the beginning of 2024, you have seen the growth of Greenfield in the span of a little over a year. What are your thoughts on Greenfield's growth since you've been elected?
Well, I hope it's positive growth, because when I ran for office, that was what I wanted to do. We have opportunities here in Greenfield. You know, we're a small bedroom community, but yet we have the advantage of, if you need to go to the mall, or if you want to go see the Colts or the Pacers or things like that, that's close by. But then you can come back down here to our small town feel. So I like those possibilities, but I don't know if you knew this or not, but Hancock County is the fastest growing county in the state of Indiana. You know, and a lot of that is because Carmel, Plainfield, Fishers, Noblesville, they're all filling up. And I know you kids get around and stuff, and you see the growth in Fortville and McCordsville. So we're the next big thing. You know, it just keeps creeping out this way. So we have a lot of lot of possibilities and opportunities here.
So we've seen a lot of people moving to Greenfield and from other parts of Indiana and the rest of the USA recently. When migrants call Greenfield their home, what do you want them to think of the community here?
I want them to think that we are a loving, welcoming community, you know, because that's one thing good about it, the small town. And I think Greenfield, and I have many people that, it's funny because I go around to different speaking engagements or places and talk to people, and some people say, hey Mayor, I've lived here a year, I've lived here 8 years, and they're so happy. They seem to love Greenfield. You know, I've lived here most all of my life. I moved here when I was 11 years old, and but they find it welcoming, loving, and that excites me, you know, so it makes me want to do exciting things for the community and continue to go. And as you know, our school system's a 4-star rated school system. So those are great things that we have going for us. I work with Dr. Olin a lot of times on projects that they have going on. Have you guys noticed my the Cougar heads up at the roundabout at McKenzie and
Yeah.
Broadway there? That's us. We helped them do that. We said, hey, we want to do this to the roundabout to help promote your school system, our school system. And so that I was pretty happy about that. And they just did the one phase. West of there, they're going to do the other roundabout in the end of May.
So we recently did an episode talking with small business owners downtown, and they all have great stories and a lot of passion for their work. What do you think about these small businesses calling Greenfield their home?
Well, I want them to be successful. I want them to do great, because unfortunately we've lost a couple businesses lately, like the Tour of Italy. They closed their doors, but we've had some new businesses come to town, and I work with Heather Condra from Greenfield Main Street a lot, and she's trying to downtown development is her goal, and we want to do that more so. We want to see the downtown be a place where people want to come and shop. We've got boutiques and the chocolate shops right next door and things like that, and I know they're working on the theater all the time and having concerts and things going there. So I hope the businesses succeed, and I have more that are interested in coming here. We have a couple of restaurants that are wanting to bring their business to downtown Greenfield.
So how important do you think the success of these small businesses is on the community?
Oh, it's very important. Yeah, we need them to be successful. Because if you lose your downtown, you've lost everything. I mean, I kind of look at Greenfield as like it's twofold. You've got the north of McKenzie up there to the interstate. That's those, all those restaurants and things like that are people that are traveling and coming in for food or groceries and things like that. But then after you get past McKenzie, you got your downtown Greenfield. And that's kind of the heart of any community. And we're fortunate to have such a beautiful historical town. So my goal is to enhance that and continue to grow the downtown. And I want to keep it small. A lot of people are worried with some of the projects we have going on. They're worried that we don't want to be Fishers and we don't want to be Carmel. Well, I don't either. I don't want to be that busy. I don't want to be that crazy. But I want to bring good amenities and shopping and things like that for downtown residents.
So transitioning, with your history in Greenfield Power and Light, you are definitely knowledgeable on our utilities here. Will there be any changes to our utilities this year?
Well, last year we put in a brand new substation, which helps the backbone of our whole community. It's kind of like we have 3 different substations located around town, and that gives us diversity to be, if we have an outage here or an outage north of town, we can relay the power lines in different ways and run the electricity from different directions. So hopefully our citizens aren't without power very long. Our reliability factor, I knew over the years compared to other utilities, is very good. Our water and sewer teams, the water company is currently putting in some new water infrastructure and building that. And we just 2 months ago opened up our new wastewater treatment plant, $70 million wastewater treatment plant, But it was needed. It was at capacity, and that's what I'm finding as mayor. There are many things that should have been done many years ago, and we're playing catch up. We're kind of years behind as the growth comes. We haven't kept up with the infrastructure.
So I know you went to Greenfield-Central, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
long time ago.
As a former student, what do you think of the new developments this year?
Oh, I like what's going on with the school, the new developments of the school system. I like it a lot what they're doing. That's why I said I've been working with Dr. Olin over there at the high school, and the new, what we call the Frost property, which is west of where the soccer fields and the tennis courts are and stuff. They're getting ready to move some things over there. So we're currently working with them to help them build that infrastructure for that, because we've got to get power lines into them and water and sewer, and we're talking with Mr. Olin about a crosswalk to get across Franklin Street, So yeah, I'm excited about what they're doing and the school system. I think we have a great school system, so I always try to help them any way we can.
So we've talked a lot about infrastructure and development, but getting into the administrative side, what changes are soon to come to the way Greenfield is run?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know how much you know about what's going on in the government, but you can see what they're doing at the federal level and obviously at the state level, and they're cutting funding a lot, and it has me worried because we depend on that. Our civil city runs off of tax revenue, and there are talks of cutting way back on the taxes, which I think there has to be a balance, because citizens are going to look at it like, well, I want good roads, I want good schools, and I want good sidewalks and this and that, but I don't want you to raise my taxes. You can't have both. It's like saying I want to eat a good meal, but I don't want to go pay for it. It's like you get what you pay for. And so it's just a balance of that, trying the money side of it and the financial side of that. I think we manage our money well. We're very conservative in many ways. Greenfield is in great financial shape. And we are blessed to own all of our own utilities. I travel around the state with other mayors and go to meetings and things. Not very many towns our size own their own electric, water, sewer, and stormwater departments.
So getting into some more personal things, how has your role as mayor been different from your expectations?
Oh my. Well, one thing, I work a lot more hours than I did. Obviously I make more money here being the mayor as I did at Greenfield Power and Light. But then if you divide that by the hours, I could be one of the lowest paid people in the city. I worked a lot more hours than I expected. I knew it was going to be quite a task, and I enjoy the challenge, and I love being the mayor. It's a great opportunity for me. But yeah, it's just like, I've got all these things I want to do, all these goals, and one thing, government moves very slowly. There's all these checks and balances and getting funding, getting approval, getting permits, and just projects that you want to do. It's not like you decide, hey, I'm going to build a doghouse and just go get some lumber and throw it together. It's really hard when you're building big buildings or working with government on infrastructure and roads and things. And the cost of materials, I witnessed that at Greenfield Power and Light. The cost of materials is just astronomical ever since the pandemic. Costs have been just way up there. So it's hard, because you don't want to raise rates on citizens and things like that. I have worry about our police and fire. We have great staff and great people, but as the city grows, those departments need to grow too. And that takes money, so it scares me what they're doing at the federal and the state level as far as the funding of our city.
So as you mentioned, being the mayor is a very active position. What do you think your daily schedule looks like?
Oh my gosh, well, I usually come in here about 7. That way I can get in here a little early before anything starts happening or the phone starts ringing. And well, like today, I was in here at 7. I had to go get flowers for my administrative assistants. Today's administrative assistants day. So did that, got that out of the way. I had an 8 o'clock meeting. I had a 9:30 interview that lasted till 11:30. I ran and got lunch, and then I came back and I had another meeting before you young folks came in to see me. So it's that. And then, tonight at 7 o'clock is our council meeting. Actually, tonight starts at 6:30. We have an early meeting before the council meeting, but every other Wednesday we have council meetings. So that'll start at 7 o'clock. So I'll get home at about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. So some days are very, very long days. A lot of meetings. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. You get to the end of the day, you think, okay, I just got done with my 3 o'clock meeting. What was my 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock meetings about? That's why my desk looks so bad, I swear, because these are all meetings. This is tonight's council and agenda for what's going to go on there. So yeah. there's just a lot to do. But
Yeah, very busy. Being the mayor, you have to make some hard decisions for the future of the city. What was the most challenging decision you had to make last year, and what do you presume to be the most challenging one you'll make this year?
oh my, the most challenging decision last year. Gosh, I really don't know. I mean, there were a lot of little challenging decisions. Probably last year was my first year doing the budget for the city, because we have 14 departments that work for me, and where to make cuts, where to spend the money and things like that. That was a challenge, because I didn't understand it first, because like I say, I was a power guy down there for all those years. I knew electricity and wires, and I climbed poles for 30 years. So I knew all that stuff, but budgeting and different things like organization and having, like I said, 14 different departments, that was hard. And I didn't feel like I did a good enough job. I wanted to do better. And then going forward this year, we have some big projects going on with this, the Rat Trail, the Riley Arch Trail as it is actually known. We're trying to get that finished up, and finalized, and then this mixed use project that I'm talking about. But it could be beautiful for our downtown, They say, you build a town, but you have to have people. It does no good to have all these nice parks and restaurants and things. You have to have people to eat in the restaurants and shop at your boutiques and your stores and things. So this will be a big challenge, because it'll be a bit costly. We're building a parking garage, 350 spaces. I don't know if you've ever gone to any of the concerts over here at our Depot Park, but people are parked everywhere down side streets and stuff, so I think this parking is going to be good for them. It's going to have 3 levels of apartments, so that hopefully young people like yourself, when you get out of college, you'll say, Greenfield's kind of a fun place to live. After all, they got lots to do, because you young people like to ride your bikes and run and things like that, and more healthy things to do. But then on the bottom will be retail, so hopefully we'll have some restaurants and coffee shops and things like that. So that's going to be my big project for the summer, trying to get it off of the ground.
Finally, if you were to sum up your aspirations and goals for 2025 in one sentence, what would it be?
My aspirations in one sentence would be that the citizens of Greenfield thought that me, because I work with, it's not one sentence, I apologize. I work with the council and the Board of Works, that me and my staff, that we've done a good job for the citizens of Greenfield. At the end of the year, they can say they did a good job.
All right, well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for sitting down and talking with me, and thank you for everything you've done for our community.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Now here's our throwback from last year with Mayor Titus.
Hi there, I'm Josie Joyner, and I'm here at City Hall today to talk with our new Mayor, Guy Titus. I'm so excited to see what he has to say, so let's go in and get started. Hi there, I'm Josie Joyner, and today I'm joined with Mayor Guy Titus. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Josie?
I'm good. Thanks for coming and speaking with us today.
Oh, well, I'm glad to have you come in and visit with me.
So to get started, can you give me a short description of what the mayor is and what kind of your responsibilities can include?
Well, that changes day to day. I actually, my responsibilities are, I have 250 employees that work for the city, so I'm responsible to them. And I have 25,000 residents in Greenfield that I'm responsible to them as well, because basically they're my boss, as being taxpayers and utility rate payers and things like that. So, they're all my boss. So I have a lot of people to answer to.
Right. So what got you interested in running for mayor?
Well, working for the city for so many years at the electric department, I've always been involved in the community, raising kids here. Both my daughters graduated from Greenfield-Central, and coached softball and soccer and all the things, and always been involved in the community. So I just continued to want to go, and I was kind of done at my time at Power and Light. So I thought, well, this could be the next big thing,
Yeah.
And it was an opportunity. I've always wanted to be the mayor. I thought that would be a good position to be in, because if you're at the top, you can make things change and happen.
Yeah, totally. So what was the process like running for mayor?
It was daunting.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was, for one thing, I remember being out knocking on doors, because me and my wife and my daughters, and we tried to knock on doors and talk to all the residents, as many as we could, during the campaign, and try to see what their needs are. Because I asked them, what do you need in a mayor? What does our city need? So it was basically focused on them, and it was more listening than it was talking. Obviously, I wanted to tell them about my plan and my ideas and things, but I needed to hear what they wanted, because it's their city as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned like the input from the citizens of Greenfield, but what issues and objectives were important to you when you were creating your platform?
Well, a lot, because as Greenfield is growing, you see the region and the area, Plainfield, Carmel, all those areas are full. Greenfield's the next big thing, as you know. I go to mayor's meetings and things, and we're expected, our population right now is around 25,000, and they say in the next 5 years it could easily go to 35,000. And then we don't know what else, basically, because, with all the growth at Mount Comfort Road and everything, all the industry growing out there. But I wanted to be sure that this opportunity is controlled growth, to keep our still small town feel, but like give good amenities to citizens or residents, or to people from out of town that want to visit our town.
Yeah, totally. So you mentioned earlier that you have 250 employees. What are some other positions available in your office?
Well, not necessarily in this office. I have an administrative assistant who works very hard and does a good job for me, Stacy. And but within the department, we have planning, we have engineering. Those are the people that put together all their ideas with the streets. And then we have 14 different departments with street, water, police, and fire. Obviously, public safety is number one, because when people come into your community, they want to have good schools and good public safety, and then they want to have amenities. And what I've learned at all the training and classes, they actually have mayor's school. I've been to 3 of those so far, and they just trying to help you along the way. And they talked about quality of place, things to do, nice housing to have, all the things that you can offer to people.
Very cool. So before being elected mayor this year, you were previously working at Greenfield Power and Light for 44 years. So how did that experience there help influence your relationship with the Power and Light department now?
Well, it helped me. Working there for all those years, I hired in right out of high school pretty much. And I started as a meter reader, and I worked my way up to a water reader, to electric reader, to service engineer, then I went to line school, and I was a lineman for almost 35 years. And climbing poles, and I got meet a lot of the community then. I've been through ice storms and tornadoes and different things that has affected our town. But we've always worked with the mayor, the engineering department, and the other departments, water, sewer, because what affects us affects them too a lot of times. So many of the things that we do at Power and Light kind of preceded what I was going to do here. So it kind of gave me a heads up to what city government, how it works, within the departments and so on.
Very cool. So you've been involved with a variety of different boards and committees at your time in Greenfield. So how has that helped with your leadership here as mayor?
Well, I was on the Center Township board for 16 years, and Center Township is all of Greenfield plus some of the outlying areas of Greenfield. And it just helped me to see how they govern, and they poor relief, fire territory, all those kinds of things. It helped me see how budgets work and how you have to work with other entities, because we have to have a good relationship, with the county as well, and so on. And I serve on the board of directors for the Hancock Health Foundation here at the hospital, and I've seen all the great things. We're so lucky to have. City of Greenfield owns their utilities. A lot of towns don't have that. That's a great thing. And being on the board at the hospital, we have a great hospital, and seeing the relationship with them and how they do things, and that partnership, it's helped me a lot, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of had a heads up a little bit about some things and what to expect.
Right. So after your first 6 months in office, because you've been here since January 1st, what have you found to be the most interesting part of your new job?
Gosh, the most interesting part is that, well, like my wife says, we need to start eating out of town.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, everybody says, "Oh, there's the mayor," and people, you know, I like to give them their to hear their story, because what's important to them should be important to me, and it is. But you know, their problem or their issues or their ideas, I want to hear them and stuff. But everywhere I go, you know, if I go out to eat dinner, if I go to Walmart or Kroger or wherever around town, I'm always inundated now. You know, I'm no longer Guy Titus. There's the mayor. You know, they call me the mayor, and I still think of myself just the same individual. Like I said, I've lived here my whole life, and it just seems weird that they treat me like that. But I'm blessed to be honored, I guess, to have this new position and to be able to help the city grow and see what the ideas are and hear those things. But that's been kind of surprising, the attention, I guess, that I wasn't used to.
Yeah, for sure. So Greenfield has changed a lot over the last couple of years, just with all the new additions. But how have you seen our city change since you first became involved here?
Well, since I became involved with the city in general, I mean, like when I worked for just to give you an idea, when I worked for Power and Light, I was a meter reader. We had 3,500 meters, and I would read those, you know. Now we have over 13,000 meters.
Oh, wow.
So that's how much growth we've had, you know, because that's kind of how you look at it, as meters and stuff. And of course, there's been apartment complexes and all the new housing additions, all the growth up on State Road 9. You know, when I was young, I mean, State Road 9, Walmart and all that stuff didn't exist, you know. So we've got a lot of new amenities up there. But I kind of separate Greenfield into two different areas. You know, there's north of McKenzie, which I look at that as all the hamburger row, we call it. You know, all the interstate people come and get gas and food and things like that, and shop and things. But south of McKenzie is still our downtown Greenfield. You know, we have a great historic town, you know, and we have many amenities that we've added, you know, with the Depot Park concert thing over there. I don't know if you've been to any of the concerts or not, but so we have things to do, and I'm looking forward to growing that area and revitalizing our downtown.
Yeah, for sure. So how would you like to see Greenfield grow and flourish in the future with all the new projects?
Well, I would like to see it grow because we're blessed. We have some industry up there, which is good from the revenue side of being able to sell utilities and things like that. And I would like to see our downtown. I would like to refurbish our downtown because we have, you know, as you see out the window there, we have great facades on the buildings and stuff. And many of the builders, I want to see quality homes. I want to see our downtown have things. They talk about what, like I said, quality of life. Young people like yourself, they say, what's going to bring you back to live in your community? Because unfortunately, my daughter lives in California, one of them does. The other one works here at the hospital and the ICU unit, but the other one lives in California. She says, Dad, when you get mountains and oceans, I'll come back, you know. So we can't offer that, but we want to build up nice amenities. So I'd like to see places downtown where we can have nice restaurants and things to do. We have great trails and parks and things like that. We're in the middle of building a literary trail that's going to be real neat. And an artsy district we're going to build in there. And those are projects that we have going. Citizens tell me we need a grocery. We want better roads. You know, the traffic, there's not a lot we can do with the traffic. I am going to work with NDOT on 9 and 70. We have so much traffic, and it's a shame that runs right through the heart of our community. But it is what it is, so we're going to try to help incorporate our downtown feel still along with that. Is my goal anyway.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So when you look back on your time as mayor, how would you like to describe your experience?
How would I like to describe the experience or how I left the city? I guess my experience, I want to leave, you know, I hope to run another term. I hope to be here for 8 years if, you know, elected. I want to do a good job, and I want to leave with a little bit of a legacy that I can say, look, you know, I helped do this or I helped do that. You know, I've been involved already. Like, you know, I know your family builds homes in our town. You know, back in my day at Power and Light, I hooked up power to those houses and trenched the power in, did the electric, set the poles, climbed those. You know, and as mayor, I want to leave it when I walk away as the downtown to say that, you know, look at some of the things we built, whether it's apartments or restaurants, helping come in and see our community thrive in a quality place. You know, I don't want it to just be, I want it to be exciting, a place where people want to stay and come and visit and live and move their families here, and hopefully people like yourself want to come back and raise their families in Greenfield.
So having grown up here and having lived here almost your entire life, what does being a mayor mean to you, and being the mayor of Greenfield mean to you?
Oh gosh, it's such a great opportunity. As a young man here growing up and stuff, you don't really appreciate things, and you don't realize what you have in your small town feel. Everybody travels to Indianapolis and does different things, but I have the feeling that I want to be proud of our community, what I've done for our community, and to help that future growth, and that when I walk away, that we can have I can say, I was part of this, I love this community. Like I said, I coach softball and soccer and all the different things, I just want us to continue to grow in a quality way.
Yeah, totally. So what do you hope the next 5 years will look like for Greenfield?
The next 5 years, well, what I'm being told is, like I said, with all the growth, they expect us to go to 35,000. I want us to have quality homes, quality schools. We have great police and fire departments. Greenfield owns their own utilities. So I'm so proud of that. I want to see those utilities grow, A lot of people don't like change, but change is coming our way, whether we like to or not. So it's going to be my job to make sure that we do quality change, we do it right. Because, you only get one opportunity, you can't go back and say, well, we should have did this. I don't want to, think that I messed things up. I want to think we did it right. So strategic planning, I have great department heads, great people. We have a good council, board of works. It takes us all together, everybody. But, and of course, I'm lucky as the mayor because I get all the accolades. Look what he did, look what they did. But it's really all the people working together that's going to make our community grow, and where we're going to be in the next 5 years. And I think the possibilities are great, if we just work at it hard and plan hard. Planning is a lot of what it's about.
Yeah. So what adversity have you overcome to be here today?
Adversity. You mean since I've been in office, or in life?
Or even just getting to office today, running for mayor, just deciding to do it.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, I was a hometown boy, and people said, oh, I don't think, they didn't think I could do it, and win the election. And as, I don't know if you know this or not, but in the primary, I had two other good candidates against me. I only won by 14 votes, which is, which is pretty close. So that was one of my challenges. Then as I got here, I find things that, it's the unexpected things you don't know about. I know we're going to have to prepare budgets, and I'm going to have to manage people and things like that. But I get calls from citizens all over. Bless her heart, we had a lady called the other day, and her son is in jail, and supposedly they're treating him bad and everything. They think the mayor can govern all this stuff, and I told her, I said, I apologize, man, but I can't help you there, And so there's been a lot of surprises like that, and that's what it kind of has been. It's the things when I come to work every day, I think, oh, I don't have a lot on the schedule. It ought to be a decent day. That's when things blow up, the bottom falls out of everything, and I think, oh my gosh, So, and I work a lot of hours, I tell people, I kid them, because I did get a salary increase leaving Power and Light, coming here as mayor. But if I do the math and divide the hours, I'm making less than I did before. I'm just a middle of the road employee for this city. Because I'll come in a lot of times at 7 in the morning, and board meetings or presentations that I have to put on, or things that I have to go to that everybody wants the mayor to be part of. I'll get home at 7 or 8 o'clock at night a lot of times. So it's a lot more hours than what I expected, but it's okay. I enjoy it. It's got many nice things that go along with being the mayor.
For sure. So what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to run for local office?
Someone to be strong. They have to not let, because I quit doing Facebook, and that's one of the first things they told me at school, mayor's school. They said, cancel your Facebook account, because people beat you up. People have high expectations, and they're going to talk down to you. It's like anything in life, if you do 99 things right and you do one thing wrong, everybody's going to, peg you or remember you for the one thing wrong. It doesn't seem fair, but they always seem to call about the things that are broke. You don't seem to get the accolades that should be received. And that's why I'm trying to build a good culture here with all my employees and the citizens. to let them know how much I appreciate them and how hard they work and stuff, because a pat on the back or, hey, good job, or an attaboy means a lot to the citizens, or to all the many organizations that we have in this town, I mean, from the soup kitchen to the Hope House to the, food pantry. Greenfield is very blessed, and I'm so happy that we have those possibilities for Greenfield. I travel around to other towns and stuff, and we have a lot going on really here, and we have a nice community.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's all I have for you today, so thank you so much for talking with me.
Well, thank you for coming in. I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
I want to thank Mayor Titus for taking the time to speak with me today. It really meant a lot. Until next time, I'm Josie, and thank you for watching.
Hello and welcome back to Cougar Creations.
A special thank you to Mayor Titus for sitting down with us.
Thank you for watching, and we hope you have a Cougar-tastic day.
Want to learn more? Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and make sure to subscribe and smash that like button on YouTube for future videos.